Hello, and welcome to another episode of Light Reading. As always, I'm your host, Light. The first manhwa for today's updates is Heavenly Grand Archive's Young Master, a Mura manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 79 on. Its protagonist is Hugong, the leader of the Muram Alliance and known as the strongest martial artist. Waking up one day though, he notices that he is no longer in his body, but in the body of someone else. This other person turns out to be the suicidal crazy person known as Bomhang, the young master of the Heavenly Grand Archive. Then, news of his original body committing suicide makes Hugong in Bomhang's body realize that the two have been soul swapped. With this information now, Hugong, in Bomhang's body, now grows his strength to find the truth behind the events of his original body's death. The story is 6 out of 10. The hook of the story is quite good and the introduction of this worm world is eventful. Otherwise, the story takes a slow burn approach to its initial question of who were the forces behind Hugong's soul swap. The mini stories and the eventual group that forms around the new Bomhang though is a good time. The characters are 8 out of 10. Because of the group that eventually forms around Bomhang, there are a lot of minor characters that involve themselves with them. Their interactions, personalities, and goals are a comedic treat, and in addition, it's a massive threat to the enemies of Bomhang. The art is 7 out of 10. It showcases the brutality and expertise that the martial artists in this Muram world have. In addition, the drawing of the auras of the experts, especially Hugong within Bomhang's body, can give chills on how good it depicts that true pressure since now Bomhang is capable of what Hugong was. If you're a fan of the Muram genre but want a somewhat less serious atmosphere and you're okay with a slow burn main storyline, then Heavenly Grand Archive's Young Master is a good pickup for you. This next manhwa is part of the game genre, and it is called Worn and Torn Newbie, a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 189 on. Worn and Torn Newbie's main character is the Yojin, a gamer addicted to the VR MMO game known as Deus Ex Machina. He spent 15 years of his life playing this game and being known as stagnant water, a term used to denote players who play a dying game. Unbeknownst to him though, he would wake up 15 years prior to when Deus Ex was still fresh and new. Given this new opportunity, he uses his now future knowledge and names his character Stagnant Water to take over the game world of Deus Ex Machina. Its story is 8 out of 10. The story takes its sweet time going through its arcs and moving from locale to locale. There are enough story bites early on though to keep you invested and continuing reading. Aojin using future knowledge in addition to influence the events of both the game world and affecting things that happen in the real world, usually to his benefit in the game, is quite striking though. Its characters are 9 out of 10. Both the allies and the enemies are an interesting bunch, and the length of the story begs the question if enemies are truly enemies, or if allies are truly allies, and if there's a looming threat that no one knows about. The art is 9 out of 10. The game world and boss depictions in the manhwa are some of my most favorite boss designs that an artist has drawn to date. Aojin's character in particular with his theme had me laughing through when showing him in action for the first time after his regression. If you're a fan of the game genre and are okay with a main character who wants to take advantage of all of his future knowledge to completely dominate a game, then Worn and Torn Newbie would be a satisfying read for you. Our next manhwa to go over is Raising My Fiancé with Money, a romance manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 38 on. Its main character is Ilya Bloden, a young aristocratic woman who is part of the noble, and rich might I add, Bloden family. She was manipulated and abused by her fiancé, but she was able to get out of that relationship. Of course, she looks to make those who harmed her pay for it dearly. From this point, she uses her money to take an advantageous position in the political landscape, even using the reputation of a bloodthirsty general who is single to enact her plans. Its story is 8 out of 10. It's a revenge story in multiple ways, and without going to crazy details, Ilya is set up in such a way, in my opinion, that she will be able to succeed in all things, while those who harmed her will fall even further. As for the male lead, you feel emotional about his situation. The characters are 7 out of 10. Honestly, the male lead is a giant puppy with Ilya to the point that it's even illustrated to some degree. I enjoy the two leads together and appreciate how much the villains make you despise them. The art is 7 out of 10. There are many sweet and cute illustrations of the male and female leads together, and each time it makes me crack a smile from their interactions. While for the times it does need to get a little bit more tense, the art has the ability to go there as well. If you're a fan of the romance manhwa and are okay with a strong female lead, a somewhat meek male lead, at least in front of Ilya, with a side plate of revenge on the side, then mark down Raising My Fiancé with Money as one of your next reads. This next manhwa is Bad Maids, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 15 on. Bad Maids' main character is Julia, a commoner who is reliving her life over and over and over again due to her having a relationship with the young master of the noble Majorum family. In each life, she's rescued by Karis, the commander of the Imperial Army, but is ultimately killed in each life by the Majorum family itself. Each time, of course, increasing her hatred of them. With this next chance, she uses her past experience to hopefully have a chance at revenge, and also anyone who wronged her. Its potential is 8 out of 10. Julia having multiple lives and being put to death each time is a depressing life to live, and you can understand her hatred towards the Majorum family. This commoner versus noble fight sets a stage where political schemes and plans would be the primary way to engage the opponent, and I'm interested in how far Julia will go. The art is 6 out of 10. It's pleasant enough, and I have no particular negative or positive opinions about it at this point. I'm personally intrigued on how Julia will approach taking her revenge on the Majorum family, what hurdles she will face, what allies will go along with her, and what other enemies lay in waiting. I'll keep my eye on it and will update you in a future episode. Our last manhwa for today is Convenience Store Worker from Another World, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 9 on. Its main character is Chan, a struggling person looking for work to make ends meet. He ends up getting a job at a convenience store that pays enough for his living needs. This convenience store, though, is actually a convenience store for the modern fantasy world, filled with magic, creatures, and its modern problems. Chan now faces the challenge of being a convenience store worker for a fantasy world that he unfortunately signed up for. Its potential is 5 out of 10. The manhwa is a comedic one and puts fantasy beings in a modern setting, which is an entertaining sight to see. Given its nature though, it hasn't put an interesting overarching story enough for me to be super invested in yet. The art is 7 out of 10. Fantasy beings being portrayed in modern settings like in suits and the like is amusing, and their problems give an added bonus of comedic relief as well. Overall, if you're looking for something that's not as focused on its story or intense action and want a more slice of life and comedic relief type of manhwa, then Convenience Store Worker from Another World is a good time to at least take a break with. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa and manga you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.